Hello MCPBTM, back with me again for your last week in September newsletter. Yay! So, what I'm going to talk about this week is more about how are you getting yourself preparing your team leader to be able to nurture your new member, right? So, team leader. So, what is most important? First, they need to understand how to design learning for your new member, and second one, they need to understand how to do coaching, which is this is both are part of team standards. Yeah. So, as simple as it can get, make your LCVP understand that what are the current state that you have, your new member have, and then what are the desired state that your new member wants to be. For example, you want them to be customer oriented. Yeah. So describe, if they want to be customer oriented, what is the desired behavior and then what is the current behavior. Yeah. And after that, train your team leader on how to design learning and coaching based on this. Yeah. So that's for your team leader. So ensure that your team leader are educated to do this and were equipped to do this by engaging your different MCVPs for them to be aware that this is what your team leader in your networks needs to be able to deliver. Meanwhile, for your LCVP management, simple, from now is focusing on these things. First, IXP, you already recruit a lot of people, right? So how are you going to ensure that all of them are offered to have IXP experience? So in this winter, how are we going to push them to take IXP or they don't want? And if they want to take IXP, what would be the reason why? Yeah. So what are the value propositions, and then how you're going to pitch them, and then how you're going to convince or influence their parents, this kind of stuff. How you're going to provide the guideline. And the second one is productivity. Talk with your different MCVP and talk with your different LCVPs, understanding that what is the main problem of productivity in your LCs. Yeah. So is it because you're lacking of people that you need to recruit more, or the second one, you're having too much people, but however your strategy from the past 4 years are not evolving. So if you need to evolve your strategy to increase your productivity, then do so. Yeah. And then don't forget to communicate with your network in terms of how you can support the strategy or change management. So and then second one is how your team leader understand, how your LCVP understand how to support team leader in their network with these things that I've already mentioned. And then the third one is, yes, it's this time of the year again when you need to select LCP, LCVP, and stuff like this. So how can you be able to map the perfect pipeline for your LCs? Simple. Based on the leadership pipeline, we have these four things. First, you need to assess their leadership capacity. Leadership capacity as in how they can develop others, basically how they can develop their members by delivering team standards. But it's not just a checklist of team standards, but how you're going to ensure that the team standards they delivered, their meeting, their one-to-one is really high quality and is really developing their members. The second one is managerial. What does it mean by managerial? So as you guys know that in the LCs, they are delivering projects, right? So what is the quality of the project? Is the project on time or not? That will describe the managerial capabilities of the LCVP or the potential pipeline. The third one is functional competency. What do I mean by functional competencies? For example, if you want to select a marketing pipeline, understand what are the key competencies of a marketing talent. For example, it will be insights, and then understanding how to dig insights from customer, and the second one is being able to be results oriented, for example. So how are you going to identify these key competencies in your pipeline, and after that you ensure that you are assessing it and you understand whether they have the competencies, functional competencies or not. And the last one but not least is the results. Are they delivering results or not? So my tips is like, don't only focus on results, because even though they deliver results, maybe they don't have the leadership capacity, right? So a great or high producer will not necessarily be a good leader, right? So the last one that I want to talk about is about performance management. So this is something that is very new. As you guys know that our goals is changing to productive members, right? So what does it mean by productive members? So if you are already taking CPO University, basically it's how many members that is there in Star Talent or in Talent Pool Talent. Yeah. So how are you going to identify it? Simple. Implement the tools. So in a newsletter, I will give you an example of how I implemented performance management in Indonesia and what are the tools or the Excel that I have. You can basically improvise on it, but my suggestion is starting from now, educate your team leader first. Understand what tools that you're going to use. You can use Cornerstone or you can use your Excel sheet, but understand that this is the culture that is important for the organization. The second one is educate your team leader in terms of how to facilitate goal setting, your performance, which is your results, from 0 to 100, and your development, which is the leadership, management, and also functional. Well, you can use LDA for reference, which is from 0 to 4. So if you want more information about this, you can talk to me, yeah, and then don't forget to take CPO University. Last week, I also have the simulations in Aeroco with different LCTP and with different MCTP. I will attach you the link which you can explore and see how it goes. Yeah. So don't forget to implement this performance management and see you on October.